My name is Tanis Cowan. I like to say I'm a recovering social worker. I used to work in the youth services field for a number of years. I left that and have since gone out on my own. One of my loves is essential oils and gardening. So I get a lot of, ever since I stopped working in the real world, a lot of people ask me, so what do you do anyway? And I spend my time DIY workshops, so making products with essential oils, and I can talk a bit about that at the end. I am the massage part of the Maitri, so I am the one that provides the hot stone massage, aroma touch, which is an essential oil massage, and Reiki. And I also adore gardening. So this summer, hopefully, I will have enough garden produce to share as well, and we'll do a little CSA. So that's how I spend my time when I am not running around after my dog. For tonight's presentation, why essential oils? So we'll talk a little bit about what essential oils are, essential oils for pest control. Also touch briefly on essential oils for plant support, so how we can use them to help the plants grow better. And then when you come inside from the garden, how you can use oils, a couple little self-care tips, and I'll give you a couple recipes that you can try out as well. So doTERRA is the company that I am with, doTERRA Essential Oils. We are the world's largest essential oil company. Not that that matters. Being the biggest isn't necessarily always the best, but I choose to use doTERRA because they fill the bottles with pure plant extracts. There's no fillers, no chemicals. We never use any synthetic fertilizers or pesticides. And the oils are sourced from around the world, working directly with farmers in a socially responsible way. So we don't have any middlemen who are gouging the farmers. We pay the farmers directly. And we are confident and work with them to know that there's no garbage on the plants or in the oil bottles. And then that also allows us, well, I think we're well over 8 million now members of doTERRA who use the oils on a regular basis. So, and how we use them aromatically. So most people know that oils, well, smell nice. Most of us like the smell of them. There's some people that don't. And usually we say that if you don't like the smell of the oil, it's your body telling you something. And if you really crave the smell of the oil, it's your body telling you something. And in nature, that happens as well. Sometimes you'll notice some smells more strongly than others, and the pests and little creatures around your garden react the same way. Because there are no chemicals or synthetics in the oils, you can use them topically as well. So you can put them on your skin if you've got cuts or bites or bumps or scratches. A lot of us use them medicinally. I won't get into that tonight. We can certainly talk about that any other time if you're interested. And because there are no chemicals or fertilizers or any synthetics on the plants, if you can eat the plant, you can ingest the oil. So the lavender, the peppermint, the orange, the lemon, those types of things, it's safe to eat the plant. So you can ingest the oil. Obviously, there's a little more to it than that. You want to do it in a measured way, but they are all safe. So that the point of me saying that part is so that you're confident if you're spraying them on your plants or around your plants, it's okay. It's not a chemical. It is okay to ingest it. And then the fourth way we can use them is environmentally, and I'll show you that through some sprays that we can put on the soil or on the plants or along the edges of the garden bed and that. The number one reason that we would use the oils in the garden is because they are concentrated. And a lot of people would say, well, why wouldn't we just use the plant? If you're asking me to put peppermint oil on something, why wouldn't we use the plant instead of the oil. So 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equivalent to 24 bags of tea, which is about a pound of peppermint, which is 5 plants. So by all means, I've always said this, I'm a doTERRA girl, essential oil girl through and through. But if you have 5 plants to put around your chicken coop to keep the rats away, or around your garden to keep the chipmunks away, go ahead, use that, that's fine. But if you have a small space, or you need to use the oils year round when the plants aren't growing, if you wanted to use them inside the home, then an oil is a great option, because oftentimes you just need 1 or 2 drops in a watering can, and that will do the trick for you. For me, I didn't have to go out and buy oils just to use in the garden. I already use them at home. So in the case of peppermint, I use that in the chicken coop throughout the winter, spray the area all around the chicken coop. And that helps to keep the rats at bay. But I also use it just on my thumb on the roof of my mouth to help get rid of headaches when I get them occasionally. So I already have it in the house. It makes sense for me to do that. So we'll get on to the pest control. Usually when it's pest control, I don't know if you can see my screen or not, but I just like to use it in a spray bottle. As I said just a second ago, rodents in general, chipmunks and squirrels and mice are generally deterred by the smell of peppermint. It's quite strong. So whether you're using peppermint lifesaver, a lot of cottagers and boaters will put peppermint lifesavers when they store or lock up the cottage in the fall. So peppermint oil would do the same as that. Also cinnamon and cloves. Those are 2 other quite strong smells that help to deter rodents. And actually in the old days when shipping was more common, and if you think back to the 1800s and the big, huge freight ships that would come across the Atlantic, and they'd tie up with the big ropes, they actually used to douse the ropes that they would tie up with peppermint before they attached them to the shore, so that the rats wouldn't head up the ropes onto the boats. So we know that that's worked for a long time. Flies, anything that flies, if you think flies or mosquitoes, even bees, if you're trying to keep them, or wasps and hornets, if you're trying to keep them away from your patio door, those kinds of things, are citronella. That's not a new oil or a new product that we've heard of that before. So citronella is a really great deterrent for anything that flies, and lemon eucalyptus as well. In there, it's the limonene or the limonene. So the chemical constituent in those oils is a lemony smell, and that lemon in general is good to keep things that fly away. We get a lot of questions about cats and rabbits and how to keep those away. Rosemary, a rag, just an old face cloth or an old tea towel soaked in rosemary is amazing for keeping cats away. So you can soak the rag and then stick it in a flower bed or under a juniper bush, or wherever the cats are going to the bathroom in your yard, or wherever the rabbits are sneaking in. And the rosemary actually will keep them away. So of course, if you've got the opportunity to plant a lot of rosemary, that would be a good thing to put where the cats are hiding. But if you don't, a couple drops of rosemary on a rag or in a spray bottle, that will do. Of all of the questions we get about pest control, especially this time of year, ticks is one of the most common. We normally would say just 3, eucalyptus, geranium, and lemongrass, and that combination of oils is great to keep ticks away. Every region of Canada and North America, probably all over the world, seems to have a different combination of what works best in their area. And that, I think, is just the different types of ticks, whether it's dog ticks or deer ticks. And So I always add arbor vitae and citronella. So I know that they're not a flying insect like I mentioned earlier, but we do have, they are repelled by that lemon citronella smell. And arbor vitae is actually a cedar type of tree from the west coast of Canada. And I don't know the chemistry behind it, but most things in nature have 6 molecules, but arbor vitae has 7. And so pests don't attack that tree. It's not something that they attack. So go look that up, figure that out. I'll do the same. But know that arbor vitae is amazing for parasites, for any bug repellent, I guess is the best way to say it. So those are good options. One of the ones I've just started putting on the garden this week is Siberian fir. So I would just take a couple drops of the oil and put it in a tiny spray bottle or in a small watering can, and just go up and down the aisles, in between the rows, with a little watering can, and then that helps repel the slugs. So that's a good little trick. Instead of trying to attract them with beer, I can repel them with the Siberian fir. So let me show you. I noticed a post today on the Horticultural Society's Facebook page about the potato bugs, that they're already here. Yes, I've seen them too. So I went digging and found this recipe. So thyme oil, I'll talk about that just in a second too, but rosemary, thyme, and peppermint oil, if you do 10 drops of each, just in a glass spray bottle, and add about a tablespoon of, this is our On Guard soap, but essentially it's cinnamon and cloves in a soap. So you could add a dish soap and some cinnamon, or some cloves in, like from the baking cupboard as well, and put that on the soil. And if you've already got the little larvae, you can put them up top. You can put them, under the leaves, sprayed up under the leaves, and that will help to get rid of the potato bugs. Anything that has a hard shell, so any of the hard shell beetles, are typically repelled by thyme. So if you can plant as much thyme as you can, whether you're using it, I know I talked about this one time at a workshop, using thyme as a cover crop, which horrified some people because it is hard to grow, and you don't just want to grow it and then flip it. But if you could do that, where you're going to plant potatoes next year, flip a lot of thyme into your soil. That would be good, or just use the thyme oil. When it comes to plant support, often supporting the plant is actually keeping the pests away. So it's kind of an overlap there. I'll talk first about the roots. So a lot of people already know that you can sprinkle cinnamon on the soil, and that'll help the roots develop nice strong roots. So that's an option. We have a cinnamon oil and a cassia. Cassia is, I like to call it, the less expensive cousin of cinnamon. They're both a cinnamon bark kind of tree. And so just sprinkling that on, dropping it on, you can mix it. I've got a recipe coming up that's a root booster powder, and you can use those oils in there. But they really just activate the roots and get them nice and strong. When it comes to companion planting, if you would normally companion plant, say with basil and tomatoes, then you can do that with the oils too. So especially if this is great for a patio garden, if you didn't have room, or if you don't have any luck with basil, then you can just take the basil oil and add it to your watering can whenever you water the tomatoes. That would be good. Rosemary and beets go well together, and part of that is keeping the pests away from the leaves of the beets, but also it helps a bit with root support as well. Those little white moths do not like peppermint, so that's a great option for around your cabbage. Of course, Jerry Baker just told me, why don't you just use hairnets on your cabbages and your cauliflowers? And so I'll be putting some peppermental on the hairnets this year too. And then thyme. I had said I would talk about thyme. So like I said earlier, any of those hard shell beetles and bugs are repelled by thyme. And so often what I'll do is plant an eggplant, sacrifice an eggplant plant so that the bugs will go off the tomatoes onto the eggplant, and then spray the thyme on the potatoes, either by itself or with the other recipe that I had just put down. We can also support our plants through mildew. So if you've got any of the squashes that get a mildew on their leaf, or cucumbers that get mildew, you can use a spray or a wash with oregano and thyme on guard, which again, I said earlier, is cinnamon and cloves. So those 4 oils, oregano, thyme, cinnamon, and cloves. If you go on PubMed or WebMD, you can find a ton of research on those 4 oils being amazing for antibacterial, antiviral, anti-mildew, antifungal. And so there's tons of research out there on that in general. So whether you're using the plant or the oil, you can find information about that. And so that's a good oil to help keep the mildew down on plants, but also when you're cleaning your tools, you're cleaning your pots. If you need to, if you're germinating seeds inside, you could add a bit of 1 drop or so of the oil to the spray bottle when you're spraying the soil in the first place, to really give the fungus or any of the bad stuff a kick to the curb. You want to be careful though with the oregano and thyme, especially. All of our oils are very concentrated, like I said in the beginning. So say when we're cooking with oregano, if you were to just dip the tip of a toothpick into the bottle of oregano and then stir a big pot of, like a big, huge casserole dish of spaghetti sauce, that would be more than enough. You wouldn't need a full drop. A lot of people already use oregano oil when they're sick, and you pick it up from the health food store. Ours is significantly stronger than what you would get in a store, so you just want to be careful with that. Much warmer. So I came up with a root booster dust that I put between my rows. In the spring, I try to do it when I know that it's going to, just before it's going to rain. Normally you wouldn't put stuff on because it would just wash away, but I like this to go into the soil. So I basically just take a cup of Epsom salts, a cup of dried crushed egg shells. So I'll bake my eggs, either just leave them in the greenhouse or bake them in the oven just to dry the eggshells, and a cup of dried used coffee grounds. And then I'll add cinnamon, thyme, and peppermint to that, and grind it all up, and then it makes a nice fine powder. And that's enough to cover one of my beds, about a 4x8 bed, and I just put that on the soil, ideally right before rain, or you could just do it and then water it in, and it really helps to get rid of any repel any bugs that are in the bed already, help boost the roots, and it won't kill the larvae, but it also doesn't help, they don't develop. So I guess kind of it kills them. Officially, Health Canada doesn't let me say words like repel and pesticide because they're just not supported. That's the word I'll use. When it comes to coming in the house after you've been in the garden, bites and scrapes and sore muscles and dirty hands and whatnot. Of course, we can use the essential oils that way too. When we're talking, you've been bit or stung or scraped outside, what you're looking for in the oils is any of the oils that contain linalool, and linalool is the calming chemistry in the flower oils. And so most people know that lavender is a very calming oil. We use it for sleep. We We put the flowers in our pillows. We dream of big lavender fields. So that's the chemical constituent in lavender is linalool. It's also very high in cedarwood and also very high in petitgrain. So if you don't like the smell of lavender, you can go to really any of the flowers, but cedarwood and petitgrain are two of my favorites. And they're great on the skin. They will calm a bite, they'll calm a burn, scratches. So if you can add those into the bath with some Epsom salts or into a lotion, that'll really calm all of the itching and skin irritation down. For sore muscles, what we want to do is increase circulation and decrease the inflammation to get that gardening hip feeling better. We want to calm the nerves down as well. So basil oil, or basil in general, is amazing for calming the nerves. That's one of the oils that I use in my massage practice. And so yes, you will end up smelling like basil, but yes, it will also help calm your nervous system down. So that's an amazing option there. A cypress is what we would use to help increase circulation, to get rid of the lactic acid that's built up and causing cramps or pain in your arms and legs and whatnot. And peppermint, we call that a driver oil. So that's going to help decrease the inflammation and help the other oils go deeper into the muscle tissue to help you relax better. I'll leave the green thumb because I've got a fabulous gardener's hand scrub next. But I wanted to talk quickly about sunscreen. So doTERRA doesn't actually have a sunscreen, but if you're interested, I do have a recipe to make your own sunscreen so that there are no chemicals. Basically, it is cocoa butter and coconut oil, and then some of the very calming oils that are very good for your skin. So lavender or frankincense, myrrh. We have an oil called Immortelle that has all of those oils combined. And then the key there is getting non-nano zinc oxide. So think back to the 1970s where the lifeguards had a white nose. That's because they were using a zinc oxide that wouldn't soak into your pores and go into your bloodstream. And that's the issue with sunscreen. We don't want that zinc oxide into our bloodstream. We just want it to sit on top. So if you're interested, you can send me a message afterwards and I can walk you through that. And also here, photosensitivity, just kind of a warning or a heads up. Any of the citrus oils that you use, so if you have something with a lemon or orange or grapefruit, bergamot especially, are photosensitive. So if you have them on your skin before you go into the sun, they can cause dark patches. So you really want to watch that. And here is, feel like I need a drum roll, the very best gardener's hand scrub on the planet. And you can challenge me on that, but I'm sure you'll agree after you've tried it. Lavender oil, yarrow, which most of us have growing in our fields or along the side of the road, and geranium are amazing on the skin. It helps to soften the skin, but it also helps to reduce wrinkles. And then of course the lavender, like I talked about, being amazing to help calm down any bites or scratches. You mix those 10 drops of each of those oil with a cup of Epsom salts and a cup of white sugar and a couple tablespoons of body wash. Of course, I like using the doTERRA body wash, but you could use any body wash. And just stir that up and use maybe a heaping tablespoon and just rub it in. The sugar acts as grit for your hands to get all the dirt out from under your fingernails and in your cuticles and whatnot. Takes all of the literal green thumb off, and then the oils will help soften the skin. So it's absolutely amazing. I do have some if you're interested, but run and make some. Wonderful substitutes. If you didn't want to use the body wash, that does give it a nice soap, but if you wanted to use a different liquid to mix them, you could use honey. Coffee grounds, if you choose to use that, is an amazing grit as well. It'll take a lot of the dirt and grease off of your hands, but it's also good to help with cellulite. So if you were going out dancing afterwards and wanted, to wear a nice dress and you were worried about your legs, you can put the coffee grounds on your legs, and it's great for cellulite. Himalayan sea salt is, or Himalayan salt, sorry, is an amazing scrub as well. And of course you can add orange peels or dried flowers. All of those are great. So we're at the end. The part of this slide I wanted to talk to you, Marcia Ferguson, who is a member of the Horticultural Society, and myself are both with doTERRA, and we've got tons of people in this area, and we offer workshops and classes. We can do them in Zoom or in person. We can come with appropriate social distancing. I think we can do up to 10 people now. So we offer classes in tick sprays, aches and pains, body butters, bath bombs, you name it, we can do it. And we also love doing beeswax wraps and holiday crafts. So if you're ever interested, you can reach out to Marsha or to myself, and we can set something up for you. And that is where to find me. So at Maitri, we're called Maitri Smith Falls on Facebook. And my own personal page is Tanis Creates. So you can find us there on Facebook. And if you wanted to stop in and see us at Maitri, generally I am working the retail section of our store on Tuesdays, and my massage, once I'm officially cleared to open, will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You can find us there.